Hello and welcome to Learning Music with Pat. I've been talking to you once in a while about bamboo instruments. Sometimes I bring them in. I have quite a few of them. They're made in different countries. I have some from India. I have a lot from the Caribbean. And they take bamboo. I even have some from Korea, by the way. But they take bamboo and they wrap it around and make kind of tubes out of them and make little kind of like flutes and fifes with them. And I've mentioned before with these instruments, I'm going to show you the same one that I brought in last time. This is a bamboo instrument. It's an end-blown instrument. And if you saw the show, you remember how I showed how you have to have your mouth in a certain position, how you can't cover the labium, but you have to cover the mouthpiece on top. This is all bamboo, which means basically it is handmade. It's handmade and it's hand carved, and at the same time, it's all hand decorated as well. And there is a glaze on it. Now, a lot of the bamboo instruments I have are really fragile. They come that way. And if you don't treat them just right, they will split. If you play them too much, they will split. Just your warm air and the condensation in the instrument is enough to get some of those bamboo instruments to split. Once an instrument is split, usually it starts around the mouthpiece, then you can't play it again. Or if you do, the split gets wider and wider until it's non-playable. I had a 3.5, 4-foot walking stick flute, which is actually a fife, and made of bamboo, and the whole thing split right down the middle. The whole length of it, it sprung open like it had a spring on it, and I couldn't use it after that. There was a wide gaping area where there was no wood because it had sprung open. So these instruments tend to be fragile. This happens to be a good healthy one, so I brought it in and I've showed it before. Now, this instrument here, which is really what I'm leading up to, this is a bamboo saxophone. I've had it in before. I'm not worried about it splitting at all, and the reason is that the wood is thicker and it's in layers, especially if you look down. You can look down at the bell and you can see this instrument is layered, one layer on top of another layer on top of another layer of bamboo, and it's that way all the way up to the top of the instrument. I'm going to rotate it now and hopefully that you can see it. The darkness of the color might prevent you from seeing it, but you can see this, that there's layers of bamboo, and it's all glazed. Here, it's a good shot here, especially in the bell area. Now, why would they glaze it, and how would they treat it? Well, I've heard and talked to people who have made these instruments. They're not very common. Most people don't have them, but they do play well when you do play them. See all of the layering. Part of the layering gives extra thickness, and as it gives extra thickness, it's less likely to be able to split. And they glaze it, and the reason for them glazing it is the fact that it protects against insects. Believe it or not, insects can get into bamboo. Now, I don't have any problems with insects on any of my bamboo instruments. They come insect-free. However, I guess it is a problem and can be a problem. This will last the test of time. If you look at the bell, the open bell, you can't see. I was hoping you could see some layering, but I think it's too dark in there for you to be able to see it. You can see it at the beginning. You can see it close to the top. Now, one of the amazing things about this instrument, it plays like a recorder. You have tone holes in the front. The finger stretchers are very big, so unless you have fingers that can really stretch, it's a problem. And over here on the side is that little hole where you put your right a tiny finger, the fifth finger, and that would be your low C. So it would be B, A, G, F, E, D, and C. You know, it's not easy to play. It plays like a recorder, and in the back, you can see where my finger is, right above my finger, is the thumb hole. It's another tone hole for your thumb. And so therefore, it it is arranged like a recorder. Now, the unusual thing, if you look toward the bell, you know, saxophones have a neck piece. It's where they curve over. This is kind of just bent, but it's considered to be a neck piece. And it has a mouthpiece which is carved into the instrument. Now, the mouthpiece, I'm going to take this apart. It's like a saxophone mouthpiece. It's reeded. This is a reeded instrument. It has one screw on this area. Whoops, if I can just slide that. I'm going to slide the reed out, which is not that easy to do, but there it is. This is a coated, black plastic coated reed. Put it in front of me and you'll be able to see that. It's a coated reed, coated with plastic so it won't split, because wooden reeds split easily, and that's the reason for coating them. That is a wooden reed. Now, here's the mouthpiece. And it looks like a regular mouthpiece, but as you can see, it's carved into the instrument. So therefore, you don't put the mouthpiece on, it's already there. Now, there's a disadvantage to this. The disadvantage is the fact that you don't have any way to twist it, turn it, or adjust it. Usually you'll have an area where there's cork right here, and this doesn't have any, it's the bamboo, and then you slip it on into the instrument, you kind of twist it on like that, and then you put the reed on, and then you put your ligature. This will come off, I'm not going to take it off. You put this on, and then you screw it in place. But the fact is, it's all attached to the instrument. You'll never lose the mouthpiece, but it doesn't make for any adjustment. And of course, you know, people, I know that saxophonists, I'm one of them, that have several mouthpieces that'll go to an instrument, and they have their favorites, and sometimes they use only their favorites. And I can remember when I brought one of my saxophones out for repair, I wouldn't bring my favorite mouthpiece. I got another mouthpiece to give them because they wanted to be able to fit it all together and play it and see that the repair went well. But I wouldn't give them my favorite mouthpiece. I gave them another mouthpiece because I wanted to make sure that my favorite mouthpiece always stayed with me and that I would never lose it. And you find that with people who are playing instruments that have mouthpieces, they have their favorites. Just like conductors have their favorite batons. So to put it together, I have the reed. Fortunately, you can't see me do this because I have to do it facing me. And I will put this reed on, hopefully hold it in a position where it will stay. And you have to be careful. You have to align the reed to the mouthpiece so it's not sticking up and it's not too far down. So that I will do. And I probably should do it on my lap or something. It's not an easy thing to put together either. And I can imagine, I don't play this on a regular basis, but I can imagine if I did, there would be a lot of times where I would miss and actually crack the reed just trying to get it on. Well, I think I'm not going to do it until afterward. It's going to take too much time. But anyway, you'll align the reed, you put the ligature in place, you put the mouthpiece in place, you screw it tight just like you would a regular saxophone. And it's very hard to do it, and I'm trying to do it where you are going to be able to see me do it. But I can't seem to balance it in just the right position. Never say die. Well, I'll wait until later. But anyway, I just wanted you to see how it is. It has just one screw in it. You would tighten the screw up if I had the reed in it, which right now I don't. So it's likely to slip down. But anyway, it is workable. It does work. It does play. It plays like a recorder. And it plays like a recorder that has a regular reed in it rather than a fipple mouthpiece. But the fingerings would be about the same. And you can see that the size of the tone holes in the front are a little bit different. They're not exactly alike in order to accommodate the size of your hands and the size of your fingers. And I'm trying to show this so you can see it. It's a fascinating instrument. The tone holes are right here. I don't know if there. You can see them if I let the light go on them, so it's reflective. But it's a very fascinating instrument. I don't know of anyone else that has one. And once in a while, I used to play it in orchestras just to show that it could play. And it is considered to be a saxophone, but it plays like a recorder, has tone holes like a recorder, but it has like a saxophone reeded instrument mouthpiece. The clarinets have it. The saxophones have it, and that's the way that it is. It's not going to crack. It's not going to split. I've had this for years. It's going to remain as it is, and of course I protect it. I make sure that it's not in any kind of extreme temperature or anything like that. I make sure that all my instruments are in even temperature. Now sometimes it can get hot or it can get cool, but never like if you were stuck it in a hot attic where it would be terribly hot or like it would bake it. That would split it. But it just giving it normal care, it will last me for another many years, if I last for another many years. So anyway, that's that. Oh, I do want to show you one more thing before I have a chance to forget it. Most instruments have a mouthpiece, and it has a cap that goes on the mouthpiece. The clarinets have it, the saxophones have it, and this does also. And you can see there would be a place here in this cap for the mouthpiece to go, and you would simply slip it on, and that protects the reed. Now, I don't have the reed on here, but it would protect the reed so that you wouldn't be breaking the reed as you are carrying it around. All instruments have a cap. All saxophones and clarinets have a cap. It's simply to protect the reed. So this is a bamboo instrument. So the quality of the instrument that you get, if it's bamboo, depends upon how much you pay for it, and how it's made, and if the wood is thick enough to protect it, if it's glazed over to protect it against insects, also to give it some kind of a shine. And so you can get very good bamboo instruments. Most of the bamboo instruments that you're going to see, you're going to be getting at trade fairs and places where they're selling things, unusual things, and it's going to be more, very less expensive, and it's going to be more prone to breakage. Most of them, however, do play fairly well. Now I'm going to go from there to a song, and I'm going to play it. This is a waltz, which I wrote, just to show you various timings and to show you not only the timing, but how you can express yourself through music. This is a waltz, which I wrote, and it's 3/4 time, which is basically waltz tempo, and the 3 beats to the measure, and a quarter note has 1 beat. So when you're counting it, it's 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This whole note has got 3 beats in it because it's 3/4 time, not 4/4 time. Usually a whole note gets 4 beats, but in this case, it will get 3 beats because it's 1 note in the measure, just that note. So it's going to have whatever the time signature says that a measure will have, and it's 3/4 time, so therefore that's going to be 3 beats. And it's kind of a simple little song, 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3, all the way down. I do have a hold right here by that D sharp. That's an accidental because a D is not sharped in the key signature. There are no sharps and no flats in the key signature, so that means this is in the key of C. And then that little hole means you hold it longer, and then you take, in the little hash marks there, you take an immediate, very, very short break. It's just for a fraction of a second, and then you go back and play the same thing again. And it goes, it's very logical, just 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3, basically all the way through it. So I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to dissect it a little bit more. And what I want to do is I'll be playing it probably 2 or 3 times if we have the time for it. I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to play it if you just play the notes. Now, music is such that you can just play the notes, but it's much better if you do some interpretation, if you add a little punch to it, and you're able to do that. So let me play this waltz. Now I'm just going to play the notes, nothing dynamically different, just the notes. I'm not even going to take that hold that you see right here. I'm not going to take that hold. I'm just going to play it. And a lot of students, when they're learning how to play music, they just play the notes. And it may be okay, but it's not good enough if you really want to perform. So let me try it again. I'll just play the notes. That's it, just the notes. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but it could be a lot more musical if you add something to it. What do you add to it? You can change the time signature to a certain degree in terms of speed, a little bit faster, a little bit slower. You can slow it down in places. You can add dynamics to it, a little bit louder, a little bit softer. There are various things you can do to music to kind of spice it up. And there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do that. But you always have to remember, if you're going to add interpretation to a piece, and most people do, it's just natural. You feel it that way. But if you're going to do that, then you need to be very close to what the composer wanted to begin with. You can't take a symphony and all of a sudden just put your own interpretation and miss what the composer was trying to do. Sometimes it's not obvious what a composer was trying to do. So generally speaking, they will actually mark the music, the hold here, speeding up somewhere else, retarding, which means going slower, then back to our tempo, which means bringing it back to the original speed. All of that is usually written in. I haven't written it in here because I didn't want to. I want you just to hear the notes and then experience it with interpretation. Now, there's not going to be much interpretation. This is a simple little waltz, so there's not too much I can do to it. But the thing is, you can hear it when I do it, and it's just an example of what can be done with music. All the times when you get a long retard or you get a very fast section, which isn't necessarily written in the music, but you add it to it to kind of punch it up and have more interpretation. So let me try this again. Now, one of the things I did, I added some extra measures that aren't there. When I got down here, I get down here and I play this section like maybe 3 times instead of once. It just adds to the music. So the reason I did that is that you can take it and you can kind of elongate the ending, slow it down gradually, and then it has a more profound effect than if you just rush through it, play it, and then the song is over with. So when I get here, I just play that more times than it's written. Now, if I was going to be performing this, as a solo, I would have written that all in. I would have had repeat marks, or I would have added the measures and just added more. So when I come to I'm going to play, let's see, I'm going to play this last section, if I can find it on mine, and I'm going to elongate it out, and I'm going to add to it. The other thing I did to it is I made this an octave note. I put both notes down. I put the high D and I put the low D. Since I'm ending the song and I'm slowing it down to end it, I actually play the high note because it makes it different. I repeat this 2 or 3 times, and then I make this a longer note and a higher note, and that also accentuates the fact that this song is coming to an end, and this is how it's shown. A little bit different, but not a lot of difference. A lot of people who are writing music, they will take, when they're closing a song, they will slow it up or they'll make it louder, and they will repeat a phrase, and they may repeat that phrase 2 or 3 times, and so it just kind of gives a finality to the song, and then the end note, which can be held. I didn't put a hold on this, but I could put a hold on this and hold this like for maybe 5 or 6 beats instead of the 3 beats that it normally would have. So you can take and do some changes. It doesn't have to be great changes either. You can have just a few changes that you can make a piece of music more brilliant, more interesting than what you wrote it, or whoever wrote it. Now, I have to be careful. As I said before, you always have to follow what the composer wanted in the music. But that's just a simple waltz that I wrote myself, and you can still punch it up. You know, some of the most brilliant and nice music is not the hardest to play. It's not the hardest in terms of the note and how you play the notes. So many students that I've seen that want to play music, they want as many notes and as fast as they can, and they want to do it as fast as they can, and that shows off how good they are. But it's usually a mistake, because most of the brilliant, wonderful music is sometimes the slowest and the easiest, but it has the most interesting chord structure, which of course I can't show you because we can't play chords on a recorder, but it has the most interesting harmonies, the most beautiful chords, the nicest tone, and it just kind of flows. So you don't have to play hard and fast and just add more and more notes and more speed to have a song be good. A song can be good just because it is. And if you have a good song, you know what that song is going to be like, because it's kind of a melody that's in your head, and it's a melody that you like. Now, we're coming close to the end of time here on the show, so I'm going to close it here, and we'll continue next time. Please join me then.